Dracula curses him with the name Blacula. He doesn't use that name, though.
Dude, it's trash. I wouldn't go by Blacula either.
He did suck, but he cursed him with the name.
Nah, no one cared.
He just kept his regular name, though. So
yeah, I'm introducing myself as Mama Walday, too. I'm not telling you my name is Blacula.
No, but then
if
at that
know
point,
about
why
Dracula,
curse him?
Yeah, no, exactly.
Why curse him with the name? Just curse him with the Dracula powers.
Yeah, that's what I thought he meant, but maybe he meant you're gonna carry on the vampire name by being a Kula,
By being a Kula.
Dracula, Blacula, maybe there's a Blacula out there.
Hi, I'm Danielle.
And I'm Belle.
And this is the Black Catch-Up, where we're catching up on iconic black media we missed out on in our more religious, conservative childhood.
Alright, so today we watched Blacula. In our
yes.
Halloween October theme for scary movies.
Spooky.
So I guess to start off, usual IMDb movie summary.
Okay. An ancient African prince turned into a vampire by Dracula himself finds himself in modern Los Angeles. And this movie took place in 1972, so it's not so modern for us.
Yeah, this was definitely an older movie.
Yeah.
So I guess we usually start off with things we liked about the movie.
Yes.
You want to start?
Yeah, sure. I liked how 70s it was. From the music to the fashion, and the language, everything was just so completely 70s, and I absolutely love that. And normally when people do that in movies, it makes it time capsule, so you're like, this definitely took place now, and it's not as timeless. But I think it really worked for this one.
Okay. I also actually had the music written down. I thought it was just really kind of groovy. I guess kind of similar to that 70s vibe. It didn't really seem that horror focused.
It was not scary.
You could almost put some of these tracks in any movie and they'd fit.
Yeah.
And there were occasions where I felt the music building up as the suspense was building up in the movie, but it almost didn't seem as intentional as I'm sure it was, but the music itself didn't seem like that typical horror movie music.
Yeah, it was just sort of good 70s music that you like.
It just happened to build,
Almost like the person who was in charge of sound was like, well, I like this song, so we're gonna add it here.
Yeah.
So one of those things.
Yeah, I really like the music in this one.
My next thing is overall, I liked Dr. Gordon Thomas and his girlfriend, wife, whoever she was, Michelle. Those two, while they didn't get a lot of scenes together, they were a very realistic couple to me. Just because she was I believe she was the one who believed vampires at first because she was reading the book.
Yeah.
And then when they went to rob the grave to see what happened to the other guy.
Yeah.
Just that entire scene was good. She was very realistic because she was screaming and giving honest reactions to things.
Yeah.
She wasn't oh, it's a vampire. She was you just killed a guy. You killed someone.
Yeah, she was kind of definitely freaking out.
And especially when she was yelling at her friend Tina, when she was yelling at her, she was like, well, what are we supposed to do? What if it's us next? He's killed people.
Yeah.
I was like, yes, Michelle, thank you. Someone knows the stakes.
Okay. The next thing I had written down was I kind of like the action scenes. I thought they were so 1970s that they were just kind of funny. Watching them today, there wasn't a lot of editing, wasn't a lot of special effects. They do the thing where you punch and just miss completely.
And you can hear the sound effect where it's
Yeah, it was just noticeable that they weren't really it was choreographed, but they just didn't have the technology.
It was almost like a stage fight.
Yeah. So I just kind of like that, especially that final scene where Blacula he screams his warning to all of them in the warehouse.
Yeah, that was the
and then
best.
Just starts kind of killing people. I like that scene a lot.
I loved it.
He had the scene where he threw the barrel from the ledge. And
I wrote that down. That was my favorite scene. That was one of my favorite ways of him killing people. Was he just threw a trash can or whatever that was? It was
I was that has to be the least vampire way to kill someone.
So funny.
But I enjoyed that part.
Yeah. I also wrote the scene in the that final scene, but just the warehouse scene where they're all fighting the vampires, just another one of those choreographed scenes.
Yeah.
I think just in general, this movie was very campy and very fun. I really liked it. It was similar to me to Little Shop of Horrors, both the original and the musical version, just because it's that kind of like, it's not scary, but like a kind of scary event is happening, but it's not scary.
Like a scary premise. More
yeah,
so
a scary
than, like,
premise, not
a scary movie.
Yeah,
You know?
but it was really good, and I also like that because the technology wasn't there, there were no special effects to like look janky. It was like everything was happening there, and it was really good. Even when he turned into a bat, somehow that still looked okay.
Yeah, it was like a pretty basic like fade out.
Yeah, they just basically like faded him out and then just put a bat there, and it was the best.
But okay. I think that's pretty much all I have.
Yeah. Okay.
Is there anything else?
So no, nothing else for me.
Okay. So problematic moments, scenes. So I guess I'll start because I did have like one. The one thing I noticed immediately was like they had that gay couple in the beginning, and I was like, wow, that's kind of progressive for this movie.
So did I.
I was completely shocked at this.
Yeah.
Then they proceeded to just use the F slur for the remainder of the movie whenever referring to that couple. I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, so that's why they're there.
That's why they're there.
So, but I saw that too, and I was like, they're gay, they're interracial.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh,
wow,
Blacula?
1970s? Okay, Blacula, but
then
no.
it was not okay, Blacula.
Quickly erased, just completely.
They just like threw it around.
Yeah,
he was like walking, and it's like that F word, and I'm like, what'd he do?
I was like, yeah, definitely the 70s. So we had, like, I was just so disappointed in myself for like appreciating it in the beginning. I was like, wow, okay. And like not even like 20 minutes later, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I thought that too. Because I think when I first saw that, I was like, I hope they don't do the AIDS thing. Where just because they're gay they have AIDS or something like that, or like their blood is dirty or whatever. So I was like, please don't do that. But then they did this.
No, they
and
didn't even
I was
do that. Like they treated them regular. They just used the F slur throughout the whole movie talking about them. I was like, wow, like, y'all almost had it. Y'all were this close. This close, you know.
Okay. I just said the general racism, especially when that one cop was like, you know who's doing this? The Black Panthers. When I was like,
that, and plus like the first scene. I guess the first scene happens with like the original Dracula.
Yeah, in like the
1700s, but
where he was like defending slavery, and I was like, we know he's the worst. You don't need to spell it out that hard. Like we got it.
Even the name he came up with was very lazy. Like just lazy and racist.
He was like, my name's
Dracula. You'll be named after me, Blacula. I was like, all right. Like,
I was like, you didn't have to do that.
I thought you were just gonna name him Dracula or like Dracula 2. You could just let him keep his name. His name was Mama Walde. Like that's
that's fine.
That's scary enough. You know, like he could be a vampire with that name.
The next thing that I didn't like was just Tina. I didn't like Tina at all.
I wasn't a huge fan either.
My biggest problem with her was that she was essentially not a character. She was a doll. They just like dragged her from place to place looking pretty. There was no reason for her to like Blacula. There was no reason for her to do anything.
No, she just like really just went with everything.
With everything.
Like this random man chases you through the subway. You're running for your life. Then he comes the next day with your purse and it's okay.
Yeah.
And now you want to give your whole life away to this guy. So
And the thing that got me about her was he gave her an out. He was like, if you don't love me, I'll leave. And she was like,
you don't love me, I'll leave. I will not bother you.
Yeah,
like,
I'll never talk to you again. I'll delete your number.
I'm a stranger to you. Like I could just leave.
Yeah.
And then she stopped him as he was walking out. I was sitting here like, oh, I guess this movie's gonna end early, you know. But
and we'll just spend the next like 40 minutes looking at credits. And
but then she calls him. She was like, no, stay with me. I'm like, you don't even know this guy. Like you just
and you were running from your life from him like.
And he was chasing you creepily. He wears a cape for God. Like he wears a cape.
All the signs.
You know.
I just did not like.
They should have known he was a vampire. Like. Minute one, like no one else was wearing a cape. No one else.
No one else wore a cape.
But
yeah. Anything else you didn't like?
That's all I had it written down for like in terms of like problematic stuff. Yeah. The rest of it I'll probably just say during my rating. I think.
Okay. Well, let's get into the rating then.
Yeah.
What'd you give this?
For me, I give this a 2. Like, not the movie for me again. Not really into horror movies or scary films. This one wasn't scary, and so to me it just wasn't interesting really. Again, like Tina, we didn't like her at all. Like, wasn't a fan. Like, she just got dragged around. I thought the movie should have ended when Blacula gave her an out. Like, you know, he was like, "Hey, look, I don't have to be here. Like, you know, I I saw you. You reminded me of my wife, so I chased you. But I understand it was awkward.
Yeah.
You know, if you want, like, I'll leave you alone right now. Like, it doesn't have to be like this. And then she stops him. So at that point, like, the whole movie's lost for me because I'm like, now like nothing she does makes sense. You know. But
It never made sense to me.
yeah, like I said, like the it did have like its fun moments. Like particularly like the fight scenes were like just fun because they were like so 1970s. But yeah, in general, I just wasn't a huge fan. I just found myself kind of like bored watching it. Yeah, so yeah, I think I said 2.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I got a 2 from you.
This movie.
I'm just scared to hear.
I gave it a 3.
Oh, okay.
I gave it a 3 out of 5.
Okay.
Because this movie was kind of on the same level as Bones for me, and that it was just a campy, fun idea.
Yeah.
The camp honestly saved it a lot for me, just because the plot kind of didn't make sense. Like, I didn't know what Dracula's plan was.
No,
Blacula's plan was.
His like love vendetta he was on was just weird. He was like killing people for no reason.
Yeah. Well, I thought he was killing people because he was a vampire.
Yeah, and like they saw him. Oh, that's why.
That's what vampires do. They need blood to survive.
Well, yeah, but it seemed like just unpredictable when he'd actually go in for the kill.
That's true.
Like,
but
it seemed like parts of it he would kill to save his own skin and like get his trail like polished off, but then like people like weren't actually dead and like
because no one dies if you're
like,
bitten by a
vampire.
vampire. You just become a vampire.
But like I feel like he didn't do a good like cleanup job in keeping his like self secret. Especially toward the end, where like he had that conversation where he was like talking like he was a vampire.
Yeah.
But
I just didn't know what his plan was with Tina. Like I knew he loved her and she reminded him of his dead wife.
Yeah.
But I didn't know what his goal was in getting her. I didn't understand that. And
was it not just to make her a vampire with him? So
I don't. He only made her a vampire because she got shot. And that was the way to save her.
Okay, yeah, because he kept saying, "Won't you come with me?"
Yeah, but I was like, "Where?" I didn't.
I thought he meant to the afterlife. Like he would only bite her if she wanted
he wanted her to be alive. So I don't know what his plan was.
I don't know. Okay,
but the other thing, because I'm still on my rating part, the other thing that I didn't understand was, or didn't like, I guess, was when after Dr. Thomas found out that he was a vampire, and I think the scene that you're referring to, they kind of just did this like little double talk scene where it's like, I know you know what I am, and
you know I know that you know.
Yeah, that kind of thing where they were double talking the whole time. I didn't understand why he didn't arm everyone in the police with like garlic, holy water, crosses, all that stuff, because they fell apart by the classic vampire stuff like the sun, crosses, all that good stuff. But they didn't use it that much. They just had the doctor and then that other police chief or whoever, just the two of them were able to be armed properly, but not everyone else. And I don't like that, because up until that point, he actually was being pretty smart about things. He was like, I have a cross, and like, he, that one girl, the bus driver who became a, taxi driver, who became a vampire, he was like, okay, we're putting her in this corner, and I have a cross, and we're opening the window, and she's dead, and here, this is a vampire, I promise, this was a vampire, I needed to show you. So he was smart up until that point, but then he started going places without a cross, or like, putting his cross away, and I was like...
Yeah, and in that last scene, I think they all went in kind of unprepared. Like, I didn't see any of them with any type of weaponry to kill a
no one had the right weapon.
I think a couple of cops had guns, and then they found things of holy water, or like they found those
I didn't know if it was actually holy water, or if it was just like lighter fluid. Like, that part was confusing. But no one was ever prepared, so that's why it got knocked down a bit. But I did have a fun time watching it in general.
Okay. So, final question.
Do you wish you'd seen this earlier?
Yeah, this one kind of an easy no for me. Again, not really in my wheelhouse of movies I'd watch. And yeah, it just wasn't the greatest experience for me. It wasn't life changing. Like, I saw a Blacula movie. I guess I can cross that off this imaginary checklist that definitely didn't exist. So yeah, but a pretty easy no for me. How about you?
Also no. Just I'm fine when I saw it. Like, that's fine. I could potentially see it again. I honestly, watching this, I was like, I would have a Blacula themed party.
Yeah. Okay.
Where like we all dress in 70s with like fangs or something like that.
Yeah, and like those little like what do they call them? Mutton chops. Yeah.
Like, I would totally do that
Yeah.
if I could have friends over. But like, Other than that, I'm fine when I saw it. I think it's good that I saw it now because I have a better appreciation for horror camp, and that's definitely what this was. So I'm A-okay seeing it now.
All right. So I guess that's our first time watching Blacula.
Yeah.
YouTube housekeeping: like, comment, subscribe,
ring the bell. You can let us know any suggestions that you have. We do movies on Tuesdays and Fridays, and we do TV shows on Sundays.
Sunday.
As well as music.
As well as music.
There we go. I promise I know what we do. And all of our social medias will be linked in the description down below. And we'll see you next time to catch up. Bye.